7.5, roger.
See your clear contact.
Strike 2.
Jeep 91, initiate disconnect.
Second copy. Bird dog strike 2 is RTB.
331.
G'day guys, Skunk here. In today's video we're going to get you up to speed nice and quickly with navigating in the F14. We're going to touch on INS navigation and how to input new waypoints on the fly as the Pilot and the RIO, and of course we're going to go through TACAN as the Pilot and the RIO as well, so we can get the most out of that. So let's get into it. Alrighty, starting out with some of the symbology for navigating in INS. Let's take a look at the HUD. There's not much to show obviously because we're in air-to-air mode, but if we come down to the mode selector and we click cruise, we get a little compass, but not much else still. This is important to have up when you are in TACAN mode though, so we'll come down to the VDI and have a look at this. As you can see, we have a solid triangle representing the current waypoint selected and a hollow triangle representing our current heading, and all we need to do is line those two up to be able to be on course. What we're going to do now is we're going to level out and we'll come down and take a look at the HSD. As you can see, we have a range in miles on the top left and we have additional heading information represented here. We also have a representation of the head and tail of the aircraft, a ADF heading, and the information in the middle lets us know the wind speed, direction, our true airspeed, and our ground speed. So what we'll do now is take a look at how we can get Jester to switch to Waypoint 2. All we need to do is open up the menu here and go into navigation, up to select steer point, and now we can select from any of these waypoints. As you can see, the Tomcat can only hold 3 waypoints, but these can be edited at any time. It is best to get these things set up before you fly, but we'll talk about how we can put new ones in and edit them very shortly. But for now, we'll head on to Waypoint 2. And as you guys can see, we will get a new range and a new bearing. I didn't put them too far apart actually, so that is my bad for having a poor representation, but as you can see the range and the bearing has changed. So let's talk about how we can put in our own waypoint with the F10 map and Jester. Let's open up the F10 map now, and what we'll do is we'll come down to Batumi and we will mark the runway with this marker, and we can put in a custom name for it, so we'll just leave it as runway. And what this will do is it will take the coordinates in the top left corner and give those to Jester, and he'll be able to put in the new waypoint from the map. So we'll open up the menu again, go down to navigation, make our way to steer point from map, and from here we are able to edit any of these waypoints. So for now we'll just go with waypoint 3, and once we click that we can see we have runway that we just entered up the top. So we select that and Jester will start to input the coordinates that were in the top left hand corner. So if we look at the repeater down here, we can see him starting to put those coordinates in, and you can see we have a waypoint 1, waypoint 2, and after he's put these in we will get a waypoint 3 which we will then be able to select and navigate to. So there it is, it's just popped up there, and all we'll need to do to get to that one of course is just open up the navigation menu again and go down to select the new waypoint on waypoint 3, and you'll see it has changed, and that's all there is to that. Pretty easy. So let's see how we can do this in the RIO position. Alrighty, let's take a look at how we can do this as the RIO. It's pretty straightforward. So first off, let's take a look at the right hand side and we'll see we have an HSD, the same as the Pilot with the same info. We have a range, a bearing, the same wind and speed information, and if we make our way to the TID, we have a waypoint 1, a waypoint 2, and to select a different waypoint, all we need to do is toggle the right hand switch, and now we're heading towards waypoint 2. We have to make sure we're in nav and INS mode, but what we're going to do now is talk about putting in our third waypoint, which can be anywhere we want. So open up your F10 map, and we are going to use the same example, the runway for Batumi. So what we want to do is mark it just so we can reference it later if we need to. And I'm going to put in the same custom name and take note of the numbers on the left hand side, your latitude and longitude. So you want to write these down or remember them, but let's put these into the 14. Alright, now we have our correct information. Let's go and put it into the waypoint. We'll move along to the TAC data, and you can see we have all the available waypoints that we can edit. But for today we're going to start with waypoint 3, and how we want to input it is we want to start with a clear. Then we want to go lat and northeast and start inputting the data. So 4, 1, 3, 6, 5, 8 is our lat and enter. Then we want to go clear again, longitude, go northeast, and because we've only got 2 numbers for our longitude to start with, we want to start with a 0, then 4, 1, 3, 5, 2, 4, and enter. And as you can see, we have a waypoint 3 that's popped up that we can use, but before we finish up we need to put in an altitude. I like to just put in 3000, so I go alt and 3000, and then we go enter, and that is locked in there. And that's how easy it is to put in a new waypoint. So let's move on to looking at TACAN. Okay, let's take a look at TACAN. Now, why would we use TACAN over a waypoint? Well, let's take a look at our kneeboard, and we can see we have a list of airfields with a corresponding number of frequencies. We can use either of these frequencies to navigate to these airfields with a range and a bearing, and in a similar way we can find a aircraft carrier or a tanker that are in the area as well. So let's take a look at trying to find the tanker with 32 Yankee. And what we'll do is come over to the left hand panel and first make sure we have command over the TACAN. With a switch here we can switch it to the RIO position if we have a human RIO, and that gives him control over it, but for today we'll keep it in the pilot position. Next we'll have to use the scroll wheel to tune into the right frequency with the right hand side and the top switch, and once we're in the right frequency we can change the channel to Yankee and move across to the dial to make sure we are in the right mode. We want to switch to air-to-air mode as we're looking for the tanker, and you can see the options are off, receive, transmit receive, air-to-air and beacon. Beacon is currently not modeled, but we want to stay in air-to-air and transmit receive mainly. So transmit receive will give us a bearing and a range, where receive will just give us a bearing, no range. And what we'll want to do is hold down the bit test button for a second. This green light will need to stay solid just to let us know that we are on the right frequency, but if we have a look at the TACAN dial, this is resetting and then it will give us a bearing and a range to the frequency. And if we come down and change our steering mode to TACAN and our display mode to cruise, while we wait for the green light to illuminate, we will get more information on the HSD. So there we go, we have a solid green light, so we're on the right frequency, and if we take a look we can see we have a new range for the frequency and we have a bearing represented by the hollow triangle. Similar, if we take a look at the dial as well, we have the same range and the same bearing. And all we need to do now is follow those bearings until we get to the tanker or the aircraft or the airfield that we are wanting. Alright, let's use Jester to find a TACAN frequency. So what we'll do is we'll find the aircraft carrier this time. We'll open up our menu and we'll go down to navigating. Then we'll go to TACAN and we'll go to tune TAC. We don't want to use the ground station for this. This way we get the option for the tanker and the aircraft carrier. So we'll go ahead and find that and take a look to our left where we can see the command is taken over by the RIO, and then he'll need to input the same information into the TACAN controller. Then we will get a range and a bearing to our new frequency, and as you can see we are still on the old one there, and the black bar represents a loss of signal to the current frequency, and that's as easy as it is. So let's see how we can do that as the RIO. Alrighty, now we're in the back seat. Let's take a look at how we can do this as the RIO. It's pretty much the same process. So as you can see we have the same TACAN dial. Don't forget we have the same HSD, so both these will display the same information. And let's find a frequency. We'll go find the tanker again, so to refresh ourselves we are on 32 Yankee, that's what we're looking for. we come to the left hand side. First of all, we want to make sure we have control of the TACAN, so switch that to RIO, and then it's the exact same process. We need to change the frequency and make sure we're on the proper channel, then switch it to air-to-air mode and hold down the bit test. Once that green light stays solid, we are on the right frequency again and we will be good to go. So as you can see, everything is resetting like before, and once we get that green light we will have the same information to navigate with TACAN, just like we did as the pilot. And this won't take too long to come on, and then we'll have the right information to get to the tanker or the airfield, whatever we're looking for. And there you go, we've got our green light, so we are good to go. And if we come over and have a look, we have the correct information, we have the bearing and the range, and on the HSD as well, it's the same as the front. And that is it. Thank you guys. Hopefully that was helpful to get you guys up to speed very quickly with navigating in the F14. Please let me know if there are any other videos you'd like me to put up, whether it's gameplays or tutorials. But I do appreciate the support, the comments and the likes. So thank you very much guys. We'll catch you next time.